Hi, everyone. It's Stephanie with the patient story, and this is a bonus. I'm really thrilled to have Lisa join us as part of the story. You know, Bruce just got done talking about going through prostate cancer, but as we all know, all of us who've gone through this process, it's not just the patient, it's everyone in his or her life who also goes through that diagnosis. And Lisa, thank you so much for agreeing to chat with us.
No worries. Happy to do so.
Yeah, and I know that you have such a valuable perspective in all this. First, let's maybe start in that beginning. When you were there with Bruce and you found out that this was quite serious, that not only did he have prostate cancer, but the numbers were pretty sobering. How did you process the news?
Oh, well, not great. I don't think anybody with that kind of news processes it. You start thinking about what it will mean to lose them. Um, I had three kids, three teenagers, and I didn't know what it was going to be. They told me or told us 2 or 3 years, and we were far from that now. Yay! But it was terrifying and makes me tear up just thinking about it. So yeah, I looked for support. I looked for help for me and for Bruce, and I found Life with Cancer, and I know the Fairfax, and it's a great program. And they, it's yeah, we're in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, and it provided all kinds of support. They had yoga for the patient and the caretaker. And I finally got Bruce in the yoga program. And they had support groups. And so I was really lucky and I felt lucky because I was in the group, the caretaker group, and Bruce was not end of life. And so many people there were, and it gave me a lot of good perspective on how to handle um, what was going on in our life. So yeah, I would think the support is the best thing. We went to prostate cancer support group. I was the only woman for some of the, the groups
Right.
meetings. And we moved to another group, and they had a few women that actually went to them. I was surprised that a lot of the wives didn't go but after sitting and listening to the men talk about their procedures, they get very technical and it gets really boring.
Right.
They're all about the science.
So it was noticeable for you, sort of the topics they were focused on, and maybe you wanted to talk about other things too. How did you? I know Bruce mentioned, in fact, you had created um, your own. Yeah, you were really active in finding that support. So how did you do that? How were you able to get the conversation and the support that you needed as Bruce's partner in this?
Well, the first thing we did, because reading the information on treatment was so terrifying, we contacted his older sister, who is a biologist. And we asked her and her husband to please look at the procedures, look at what's available, and do it for us, because it was just terrifying for us to look at that. The next thing I did is when we decided on the treatment, I had her come out for his surgery. And we had a playful time during his surgery. We walked around the hospital with clown noses, and we had little buttons and flowers and stuff, and we kept on moving them where they were, and dressing in hats and things, and just taking routes, because I needed to pace. And so we just walked and walked and walked, and we just kept on moving things, so we would have this little bit of silliness if people saw us once, and then the second time they saw us, we looked different. We did a lot of that. There was an area, a lounge. We did yoga. And we didn't sit still. I mean, we just kept on moving, didn't sit in the waiting room. They assured me that they could get a hold of us when they needed us, and that we could be there within, minutes, wherever we needed to be. So that's what we did. We did not sit in and stew and worry. Well, we were worried, but we tried to keep our minds occupied,
Right.
and it was really great.
Yes, you were able to focus your energy in, it sounds like, a more productive sort of way. And then his surgery was so fast that you missed him waking up.
Well, it wasn't that fast. And the news at the end of the surgery wasn't great, and we didn't share the information with him.
Oh,
We knew that he needed to have a little time to feel very positive himself.
right.
And we decided, our one of our children was with us. We all decided that it would be detrimental to his recovery from the surgery to take away that hope at the moment. So he had a lymph node that was compromised,
Right.
and they took a lot of the lymph nodes. And so right out of surgery, we knew that he wasn't okay yet. And so it was his next appointment, his first appointment, that he got the news.
I see. Okay. And Lisa, the way you're talking about this too, I know you had to juggle so much. Uh, this is your husband who's gone into surgery and is dealing with this firsthand. But you are too, and you've got kids. So you're playing many different roles. How did you handle talking about the diagnosis and the treatment and all of these things with your children? And they were in their teens at the time?
Yeah, I think they were 14, 16, and 18. So they weren't exactly little, and they were proactive and very helpful. We talked about diet changes and what dad needed, and they were very good about helping out with everything. We didn't sugarcoat it because it's not fair. They needed to know, and we arranged for therapy for them if they needed to go see somebody. We encouraged them that they could go to the teen groups. They chose not to do that, but they did have the ability to go see people at our HMO to talk it over. So, or they would just talk to us. But we did make sure that they knew that all the avenues were open for that.
Okay. And mental health, I just have a couple more questions here. But for you as the caregiver, first of all, I used to be a patient. I told my husband I would rather be in my seat than in yours. It just, it amazes me sort of just how solid and strong and incredible caregivers have to be and are through all of this. But on that note, I mean, the tension's usually on the patient. What do you want to get across to caregivers who are watching this about how to tend to themselves?
Oh, definitely. Yoga, walking in the woods, get out. If you are really tired, Bruce was a great patient, and his treatment was comparably a lot easier than other people's might be. But taking care of yourself, getting out, finding somebody who can be a caregiver for you if you have somebody who's much more sick than Bruce was. Give yourself an afternoon, give yourself a morning, go out for a coffee. It's so important to take care of yourself. And if anybody asks you what you need somebody to come clean your house. That's what you need. There's lots of people that give meals, and that's wonderful.
Right.
But I felt like I was overwhelmed, and I really needed a maid to come in and just clean the house and do the laundry and catch me up, because I was exhausted and overwhelmed. And that would have been a real benefit. So whenever I hear about somebody being sick or being in a situation, I offer to arrange for a maid to come for them.
Because what was helpful for you. I didn't mean to interject there, but I love the message of don't be afraid to ask for what you need. I mean, that can be difficult for a lot of people, is asking for that help.
Could be. I didn't have a problem with it.
Well, that's good. I've heard from people, that it's been difficult. And so I love your message of you need the help, ask for it. My last question is actually open to both of you to respond to, but, diagnosis is traumatic. The experience can be, and it can really have major impacts on relationships. And so, do you have any guidance for people? You can have an incredibly strong relationship in marriage, but going through something like this can be very trying. Any guidance for people on how to get through something as tough as a diagnosis like the one that you both got?
Well, we have an agreement. When we move, 6 months before and 6 months after, there's no discussion of divorce or separation because you're not at your best. And the same thing happened with the diagnosis. It's just that tough, and it's scary and difficult, and you just need to give each other some space, but also give each other that support and love. I don't know, is there a better way to put that?
Well, I think it's harder on you than me because I felt, and I think we agree, that our bonds get a lot stronger because now we're going through something together. It wasn't me off at work or her off at her work or volunteering, but this is something that wasn't fun, but that we're in it together. And I made it through because of her.
And baseball.
And baseball.
And baseball.
Yes. Yeah,
A baseball game saved him. Washington Nationals saved him. They really, really did. Because he came home from radiation and he sat and he watched a game every day. And the announcers just made him laugh every day. And that made a world of difference. And so whenever he felt well enough, we headed out to the ball field.
Yep. That was
So find something fun to do.
and that thing, when we were at NIH, one thing Lisa did is that during the radiation treatment, because we're in that waiting room forever, and with a whole bunch of other guys that are waiting for same thing, and they're not looking too happy, they're not looking too fun, and she just couldn't let that happen, and so she brought in cards. We've had card games there, and puzzles. We just little building blocks.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes children need radiation too. So they had a little children's area, and I would pull out the toys and get people to play with them with me.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm
You brought the fun.
yeah, I'm very playful.
Yeah, and it really changed the entire atmosphere. And people later commented to us how grateful they were.
Yeah.
It made their time there a lot easier because instead of sitting there looking at the clock waiting for their turn, we were laughing, having fun, playing cards, and we made it fun.
Right.
And Lisa made it fun. It just was quite quite the time.
So bring your imp with you.
Yeah.
Bring your what with you?
Your impish shelf.
Oh, your impish elf. Okay.
That's a hard thing to say. Not going to do it 3 times.
I love it. I haven't heard impish in a long time. So. Well,
I mentioned it was during these prostate support groups. They are male heavy, very few women, but having the opportunity of some of these groups would take the women off to the side and let them meet at the same time but separately to discuss the caregiver part of it.
100%. Yeah, no, and Lisa and Bruce, it sounds like you both, in your own ways, Lisa with her impish self and Bruce with your humor as well, brought some great lightness to these groups, which I think reinforces the message of living in the moment and really bringing your light to it. And so I appreciate your message. Lisa, I'm so glad. I mean, this was not, I didn't expect to be able to meet you, but I'm so thrilled that you joined us. And that caregiver message is so important. And I want to do more of the featuring of those voices. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and from our readers and our viewers for taking the time to share both of your stories.
It's our pleasure.
Thanks. We enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find both Lisa and Bruce's voices and stories on our website, thepatientstory.com. So again, thank you. And, happy holidays.
You too.
Happy holidays to you as well. Thank you, Stephanie.